Nothing But the Words, episode number 85, The Big Lie About Creativity and Writing.
Welcome to Nothing But the Words, the podcast that gives you everything you need to know to write a phenomenal book. Now here's your host, your author coach, Candace L. Davis.
Hey there, and welcome to Nothing But the Words. I'm your author coach, Candace L. Davis. I hope your week and your writing are both going really, really well. In this episode, I want to talk a little bit about creativity. A while back, one of my coaching clients mentioned me in a Facebook post, and she thanked me specifically for the work I'd done with the edits for her book. She and I had a friendly back and forth in the comments, and I teased her about being a difficult client. I always call her a difficult client because she was so resistant to cutting anything from her book. Now, in reality, she's not a difficult client. She's a great client, but we have that kind of relationship and we joke around with each other. And in this case, I was just teasing her and reminding her of how hard it had been for her to make the cuts in her book. Among other things, I had coached her on cutting several pages from her manuscript. She was so afraid, though, that if she did, she would lose some of the meaning or some of her favorite lines from her book. But once she made the cuts, she was pleased to see how much sharper and clearer and faster her chapter read. So we were giving each other a hard time in the comments of her Facebook posts. We have that kind of relationship. And then one of her friends chimed in with a comment. Her friend said something along the lines of, well, that's why we're the creatives and editors are editors. I almost choked on my apple kale ginger green juice. Since it wasn't my post, I left a brief and lighthearted response to her comment, but here's what I would have told her under different circumstances. And here's what I want you as a writer and an author to know about creativity. First, let me just get out of the way that I have been a writer for almost a full decade longer than I've been an author coach or book editor. So authors can't fool me with the old, we're artists, so we just can't be responsible for the work of making our books great and ready for the world. We just have to be creative and pour out what comes onto the page and leave the rest to someone else. No. I also don't buy that creativity is an excuse to be temperamental or inconsiderate or lazy about making your work shine. I'm an experienced writer, so I know that's not what creativity means. It doesn't limit us from being able to do the work of sharpening our writing or sharpening our craft. Second, any author who has worked with an experienced and skilled editor should recognize that, especially when we get beyond the mechanics of copy editing, good editing requires just as much creativity as writing a book. That creativity is applied differently, sure, but a strong editor leans on a creative use of their knowledge to help you with everything from word choice to structure, from storytelling to flow. Don't underestimate the value of an author coach or editor who's willing to lend you their whole brain, creativity included, to help you make your book the best it can be. And here's what's most important for you to know. Here's my third and final note for that young writer who sought to draw a clear line between the creatives and the non-creatives of this world. No such line exists. There's not some lucky chosen group of naturally creative people who get to write books and all belong to a fun secret club that locks everyone else out. That's a lie from the pits of hellacious middle school English classes. As human beings with functioning brains, we are all creative. And no, it does not matter if your brain functions differently from the typical. You're still no less creative than the rest of the world. In fact, your differences may work in your creative favor. Human beings are naturally creative. So often you'll hear people in this culture talk about how little boys like to destroy things, right? They'll watch a toddler play and talk about how much boys like to tear things down. Now, we won't get into that gender bias right now, but suffice it to say, we focus a lot on how much kids like to destroy things. They like to knock down towers built of blocks and kick in sand castles and smash cakes. All of that is true for lots of kids. But we forget that it's also true that all human kids are also driven to create. They like to build that tower of blocks or that sand castle or bake that cake. They like to create a magic wand from a stick or a rocket ship from an empty bottle. They like to make paper airplanes. They like to draw or color or paint or sing. all creative acts. Adult humans are no different. Traditional schooling does a lot to suppress our creativity, as do many of the jobs where we're expected to just do what we're told. But your creativity never goes away. It cannot be destroyed. It comes out in your cooking or your knitting or when you embellish the true life stories you tell your friends to make them more entertaining. It comes out in your woodworking or your social media posts and in playing certain video games or dressing up for Dragon Con or for Halloween. Your creativity imposes itself on your choice of attire and tattoos and home decor. Human creativity cannot be denied. Your creativity cannot be denied. Let me leave you with this. If you believe in a creator of any kind, and you believe you were created in that creator's image, then I defy you to choose then to believe you are anything less than a creator, small c, yourself. Whatever your belief system, evidence of your creativity, your ability to create is all around you. Look for that evidence and pay attention to it. You do not have to be anointed as a creative being, a creative writer. You can simply choose to channel your innate creativity into writing your book. If that's new for you, it will take effort and practice, but you're more than capable of effort and practice. Create a sacred space of quiet and contemplation to allow room for your creativity to express itself on the page. Read well-written books outside of the genres you normally read. Challenge yourself to keep writing, recognizing that even your first draft is evidence of your creativity. Don't let anyone, least of all you, tell you that you're not creative enough or can't be creative enough to write a phenomenal book. Don't let anyone tell you there are creative people and uncreative people. Those are just lies. Your creativity is a part of you. You get to choose how and when you want to use it. Embrace your creativity and own your identity as a creative writer. It's yours if you want it. That's all for this week's episode, my friends. If you need some guidance to get started writing your book, I invite you to download my free Jumpstart Your Book guide at CandiceLDavis.com/jumpstart. The free guide will help you get clarity and get started writing. Thanks for listening to Nothing But the Words. I'm your author coach, Candice L. Davis, and I'll see you next time.